Hello, and welcome to Day by Day True Crime Stories, the podcast where we explore a different crime or justice milestone from this day in history. I'm your host, Kona Gallagher, and today is May 9th. On this day in 2021, a Florida community woke up to a tragedy that would shock not just their neighborhood, but the entire nation. 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey was reported missing. By that evening, her body had been found, and what followed was an investigation that quickly led to a heartbreaking and devastating conclusion. Her killer was just 14 years old and was one of her own classmates, Aiden Fucci. Today, we're looking back on the short life of Tristyn Bailey, the horrific circumstances of her death, and the impact that her loss continues to have on her family, her community, and beyond. Let's get started. Tristyn Bailey was born on January 18, 2008 in Singapore to Forrest and Stacey Bailey. She was the youngest of 5 siblings and the heart of a close-knit family. Her older sisters, Brittany, Alexis, and Sophia, and her brother Tegan all shared a deep bond with her. The Baileys had settled in St. Johns County, Florida, where Tristyn attended Patriot Oaks Academy as a 7th grader. She was full of life and was known for her bright smile, her infectious energy, and a kindness that left an impression on everyone she met. Tristyn was passionate about cheerleading, too. She wasn't just good, she was committed. Her teammates saw her as a motivator, someone who lifted everyone's spirits, whether they were at practice or in a competition. Her mom, Stacey, once said, quote, "She had a way of making everyone feel special. Whether it was a small gesture or a big moment, she always made sure people knew they were loved." End quote. Tristyn was especially close with her siblings. Despite being 16 years younger, she and her eldest sister, Brittany, had a best friend bond. She shared a love for animals with Alexis, who often stepped into a nurturing role. Tristyn was always eager to tag along with her siblings, craving every chance to be a part of their world. Her father, Forrest, described her as courageous and determined, saying, quote, "She never backed down from a challenge. Whether in cheerleading or in life, she gave it her all. That's something we hold on to." End quote. Tristyn's light touched so many, and that made her sudden disappearance all the more devastating. In the early hours of Mother's Day, May 9th, 2021, Tristyn left her family home in the Durbin Crossing neighborhood. Surveillance footage later revealed her walking down Saddlestone Drive at about 1:45 a.m. with 14-year-old Aiden Fucci, a fellow student at Patriot Oaks. Roughly 2 hours later, cameras captured Fucci returning, alone. He was running and holding his white sneakers. That morning, as the Baileys began preparing for Mother's Day, they noticed that Tristyn wasn't in her bed. At 10 a.m., her mother reported her missing to the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. A missing child alert went out quickly, and the community mobilized. Neighbors, friends, and total strangers all joined in on the search. Tragically, around 6 p.m. that day, a resident searching the wooded area near a retention pond at the end of Saddlestone Drive found a body. It was Tristyn. She had been brutally stabbed 114 times. At least 49 of those wounds were defensive. She had fought for her life. The scene was horrifying. Tristyn was found in black Nike shorts and a black shirt just 30 feet beyond a fence line in a wooded area. A buck knife was later recovered from a nearby pond. The tip of the blade was broken off, and it was later found embedded in Tristyn's scalp. DNA evidence found on the weapon was later matched not only to Tristyn, but also to Aiden Fucci. Fucci lived less than a third of a mile from where Tristyn's body was discovered. The missing persons case had now become a murder investigation. Even before the DNA testing on the weapon was completed, detectives had zeroed in on Fucci, mainly due to that security footage that had shown the two together in the early morning hours, and then Fucci returning home alone. When questioned, Fucci claimed that he and Tristyn had parted ways after hanging out at a friend's house together. But his story didn't add up, and a search of his home uncovered blood-stained clothes and a knife sheath that matched the weapon used. And then came a disturbing twist. While being transported in the back of a patrol car, Fucci took his selfie and posted it to Snapchat. The caption read, "Hey guys, has anybody seen Tristyn lately?" On May 10th, 2021, Aiden Fucci was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. That charge was soon upgraded to first-degree premeditated murder after witnesses came forward saying that Fucci had spoken before about wanting to kill someone, about dragging them into the woods and stabbing them. His friends said Fucci often carried a knife that he called poker and regularly fantasized about violence. Drawings found in his possession depicted mutilated bodies. His ex-girlfriend later told police that he once told her he heard voices in his head telling him to kill. Even Fucci's mother, Crystal Smith, got caught up in the fallout. Surveillance videos showed her washing her son's jeans that later tested positive for blood. She was arrested for tampering with evidence and was later released on bail. She eventually pleaded no contest to the charges against her and was sentenced to 30 days behind bars and 5 years of probation. On February 6, 2023, just before jury selection was set to start in his trial, Aiden Fucci pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. In March of that year, he was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of a sentence review after 25 years, as required by Florida law for juvenile offenders. During the sentencing, Judge Arlie Smith addressed the court and encapsulated the absolute pointlessness of this crime, saying, quote, "This was not done out of greed. It was not done in retaliation, retribution, or revenge. It was not a crime of passion. It was not a crime that was committed because he felt rejected by her. It was not done in a fit of uncontrollable anger. There was no reason. There was no purpose. It was done for no other reason than to satisfy this defendant's internal desire to feel what it was like to kill someone." End quote. The Bailey family, known locally as the Bailey Seven, turned their grief into purpose. At Fucci's sentencing hearing, they delivered some of the most powerful victim impact statements ever recorded in a courtroom. Tristyn's sister Alexis stood before the court with a glass jar and one by one dropped in 114 aqua-colored stones, each one representing a stab wound that her sister endured. The soft clinking sound echoed through the silent courtroom. But the family didn't stop there. They pushed for legislative reform, helping pass Florida Senate Bill 404. The law, signed by Governor Ron DeSantis in 2023, prohibits the release of crime scene photos and autopsy reports of minors killed in criminal acts, protecting grieving families from having those painful images made public. And just a side note, I cannot believe that that was already allowed, that you could publish a minor's autopsy photos. The Baileys also founded the Tristyn Bailey Foundation, a nonprofit focused on youth empowerment, safety, and education. From self-defense workshops to social media safety events, the foundation helps equip young people with tools to protect themselves and others. Community support has been unwavering. Vigils, memorials, and fundraisers continue. Tristyn's favorite color, aqua, now symbolizes strength and unity in her honor. Events like the annual Tristyn Bailey Memorial Golf Tournament help fund the foundation's work and ensure that her legacy endures. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Day by Day True Crime Stories. If you found Tristyn's story compelling, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. It'll help us grow. And be sure to join me again tomorrow as we explore another significant event in true crime history. Until then, stay safe and remember that behind every headline is a life worth remembering. Day by Day, True Crime Stories is a Little Monster production.
Hey, you can do it!